Yeah, guys, this is not surprising. I'm gonna be honest here. So a couple of days ago, we basically found out that there are, in fact, sleeper agents from Iran in the United States of America. Like, listen, guys, be prepared for anything that happens. Make sure that you have kind of a way out of where you are, kind of at all times. Just be prepared if something does happen, kind of near you, right? Be safe. Maybe you shouldn't go to that gigantic event, let's say, that you're thinking of going with, a couple thousand people, etc., right? Maybe you shouldn't do those things, right? Knowing specifically that Iran is, for the most part, known for targeting, community centers where regular civilians are basically just, there living their lives, guys, right? But apparently, so Iran has threatened attacks inside the United States of America, guys. We've expected this. Just be prepared if something like this does happen. I don't want this to happen, obviously, but just understand that this is a possibility here, guys. Right? This is a suggestion via a channel member. Let's jump into it. Let's do it.
Just in, that Iran directly threatened America?
Tom, tonight NBC News has learned that message from Iran was conveyed to President Trump by an intermediary during last week's G7 summit, warning the president if he launched airstrikes against Iran's nuclear facilities, Iran could respond by unleashing terrorist attacks on the U.S. by activating sleeper cells it has inside this country, according to U.S. officials. Yeah. All as we learn new details about those historic strikes. Tonight, the new video, B-2 bombers returning to their Missouri base after those secretive strikes. And now our first look at the targets they hit inside Iran. Jeez. These before and after images show the massive impact of the U.S. attack on Esfahan, one of 3 Iranian nuclear facilities hit.
Initial battle damage assessments indicate that all 3 sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction.
The commander-in-chief with this declaration overnight.
I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Pentagon officials say it's too soon to tell, but tonight the U.S. is also preparing for potential Iranian retaliation, though the Trump administration emphasizes the attack was intended as a limited one-time strike.
We're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program.
President Trump.
Yeah, but the problem is that now Iran, in fact, is, within a kerfuffle, let's say, with us.
Inside the Situation Room with Vice President Vance, his Secretaries of State and Defense, as well as Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and Joint Chiefs Chairman Dan Kane. The president issuing this warning to the Iranian regime.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen.
The historic U.S. military operation complex and choreographed. The nuclear sites targeted, Natanz, Esfahan, and Fordow, buried deep beneath an Iranian mountain. The U.S. adding the element of surprise, with the president giving the final green light 48 hours after announcing he would take up to 2 weeks to decide whether to strike.
Yeah, guys, it wasn't much of a surprise. Let's just be honest here. Multiple countries started kind of putting out information kind of like a day and a half or so before that there were a gigantic amount of big planes, let's say, flying out of random countries around the world heading to an unknown destination. Understand that. And that was information that was basically given to the public for the most part, specifically in Europe, right? So now imagine, you think Iran did not know that was a thing that was happening? Like, guys, I mean, I'm under the perception as of right now, based off of a couple of the other things that I've encountered in terms of reading about this story here, I'm starting to believe that they knew things were coming and they moved. They could have potentially moved to another location, right? Until we get actual insight on what exactly was destroyed, maybe there's something that we can test specifically in that region to verify that there was in fact enriched uranium in that location. I'm not sure things are done here, guys. I mean, I'm not sure. All right, because I think we just now kind of, I don't know, poked a sleeping bear, if that makes any sense. But let's go and see where this goes.
Just a time to see whether or not people come to their senses.
First, the apparent decoys. On Saturday morning, B-2 stealth bombers launching from Missouri flying west. Hours before the B-2s used in the actual strikes headed east. The U.S. deploying 14 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs for the first time in a military operation.
Okay.
In this satellite image of Fordow, if you zoom in, you can see several holes from the bunker-busting bombs, which explode underground. The B-2s also...
It looks like there were 6 there.
So dropping them on Natanz.
They dropped 30,000-pound bombs on a target the size of a washing machine.
U.S. submarines firing Tomahawk missiles to hit the Esfahan site. In all, 125 U.S. warplanes and 75 precision-guided munitions used. And the Pentagon says Iran never fired a single shot.
Right. That's why I'm kind of under the impression. All right. That's why I'm like, They're like, why would I waste a missile exclusively for them to hit a spot that doesn't even matter? Like, that's why I'm kind of like, oh, no, I don't want to be a theorist, guys. But, like, what if nothing was in there? Okay. What if they knew all of this was coming? Like, this was like the news completely overdid the story, right? To the point where they knew we were planning something in this region here. Like, if everyone had a thought and theory, and this was really important to them, why would they leave it there?
This operation underscores the unmatched capabilities and global reach of the United States military.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth pinning the praise on President Trump.
Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program.
Okay.
And none could until President Trump.
And after...
this plan has been kind of in motion for the last 2 years, though. All right. So just understand that the military has been running programs for about 2 years, and they actually started kind of enacting things about 1 year ago. So just understand 2 years was basically the time frame of this entire mission here.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard in March said Iran had an unprecedented amount of enriched uranium for a non-nuclear state, but that the Ayatollah had not ordered the development of a nuclear weapon. Secretary of State Marco Rubio argued the Iranian threat was urgent.
It doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons.
Peter Alexander, NBC News, the White House.
Okay.
Now to the stealth operation. Tonight, we take you inside the warplanes and submarines that fired on Iran's nuclear facilities, the largest B-2 strike in U.S. history. NBC's Courtney Cubie with the plan of attack tonight.
Tonight, new details about Operation Midnight Hammer. Just after midnight Saturday morning, a group of U.S. Air Force stealth B-2 bombers took off from Whiteman Air Force Base under the cover of darkness. Defense officials said they were headed to Guam, but 7 of the bombers quietly flew in the opposite direction.
Part of the package proceeded to the west and into the Pacific as a decoy, a deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders.
Flying in near silence to avoid detection, the bombers, each with 2 crew members and loaded with 2 30,000-pound bombs each, began their 36-hour round-trip flight, made possible by dozens of tankers refueling them in the air along the way. At 5 p.m. Saturday night, a large group of fighter jets joined the bombers as they approached Iranian airspace. At the same time, a U.S. Navy submarine launched 30 Tomahawk missiles towards Iran. Less than 1 hour later, the bombers entered Iranian airspace and some of the jets sped ahead, targeting any Iranian air defenses that could threaten the B-2s and ready to take on any Iranian jets that scrambled in their path. At 6:40 p.m., the U.S. began striking 3 locations, dropping 14 massive ordnance penetrators known as bunker busters on Fordow and Natanz, just as Tomahawk missiles crashed down on a 3rd site at Esfahan. By 7:30 p.m., all of the aircraft were safely out of Iranian airspace. According to the Pentagon, Iran never fired a shot at the U.S. aircraft.
Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us. Throughout the mission, we retained the element of surprise.
The B-2 bomber, the only aircraft in the world that can deploy the massive bomb, this marked the largest B-2 strike in history. A historic mission cloaked in secrecy.
Courtney Cubie joins us. Live from the Pentagon. And Courtney, this is the first time these types of bunker busters were used in combat. What else can you tell our viewers about them?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. These 30,000-pound bombs are uniquely suited to target underground facilities like the one at Fordow. They're equipped with GPS trackers, and their extremely strong casing allows them to punch through reinforced concrete and drill down up to 200 feet. You can see 3 of the holes that they made there in that picture before they even detonate. Tom?
Right.
We thank you.
All right, guys. All right. Yeah, kind of. I'm kind of all over the place with the story here, right? Like the more I listen to it, the more I'm just like, because I generally don't believe nothing anyone says. Okay, this is understand this kind of about me as I'm watching videos. I'm skeptic and I'm skeptical of everything. I'm moderately cynical. I'm not moderate. I'm cynical in nature, and again I don't believe nothing. Generally, I have to research it with multiple sources and things. But guys, is it unprecedented what happened? Absolutely. Is it most likely going to bring us into something much bigger? Absolutely. Are there chances that Iran could absolutely, activate some type of sleeper cells around the United States of America? Oh yeah. Yeah. But also, if the fact that, like, listen to how this is playing out, for example. So none of their SAMs went off to kind of take down any of the aircrafts, number one, okay? Number two, the B-2s got in without any mobilization or scrambling of any Iranian jets, okay? Now, there could be two things here. Either they knew not to fire on us, or they already knew the targets that America was basically chasing after were irrelevant. Because two things, that's it. I would say personally, I'm right now in the camp, okay, without actually fully, thoroughly researching anything more than what I've encountered exclusively today. All right. If they didn't fire, there was nothing in there, bro. Okay. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Like, if they didn't fire, if they didn't do anything to protect these sites, it didn't matter anymore. They knew you were targeting it. Guys, the whole media cycle was basically all over the last week, amping everyone up, okay? Iran knew that place was being targeted, okay? They knew it. They absolutely 100% knew that it was coming within the days. They had time. And then they didn't fire? All right, bro. Listen, let me know in the comments what you guys think about my theory. I'm down for it. We can have a conversation about it. But in the meantime, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.